how to think like a champion in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of crisis. That really is what Ryan and Jenn Walter bring to the table. If two pictures, what is it? If a picture could tell 1,000 words, then two pictures should be able to tell 2,000 words. This is the Walters back in 1986 when Ryan was part of a Stanley Cup winning team with the Montreal Canadiens. These are the Walters in their current life as they travel all over North America, teaching, facilitating leadership programs for high-level executives and their teams. And we're reaching out to Ryan and Jenn right now in beautiful British Columbia. Thanks so much for joining us. And I know you feel especially as partners in business and life, what other couples in business and life are going through right now. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I'll jump in, and then Jenny's she's gonna take over here because she's got all the good ideas. But I think, Gare, a couple things that we think about is this is crunch time. I mean, this is game time. There's no doubt. People are together now for a month or more, and there's uncertainty. And there's a lot of what we call future negative. If you look at sound bites, if you look at news cycles, there's not a lot of good news out there. So we have to find the good news, between ourselves in our business. We've got to look to adjust to, be different. And I rely a lot on Jenny for good ideas, for, the direction our company should go. So it's a time where we do need to pull together. And I'm going to give you one quick word, and then Jen will jump in, and that is grace. Like, I don't even know what that word means. If I was to, look on maybe a lexicon to see what the Greek is for grace, but here's what I feel when I feel grace. I feel unmerited favor. And so even when I mess up, Jenny has grace for me. And I think that side of our relationship is really important.
And vice versa, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Jenn, I can't help but think, Ryan played over 1,000 games in the National Hockey League, and you were there every step of the way. You saw all the ups and downs from, team sports at the highest professional level. There's got to be some insights that only you can share from your very unique perspective, not only in the stands, but also on the home front.
Yeah, but when Ryan was playing, that for sure, I was the behind the scenes, I'd say, trying to help create a winning atmosphere in our home for our family and for us. And connecting actually with the other players' wives who were like our extended family, just to nurture the friendships on a team that are so important. And a team in business and in marriage is no different. That's a big part of creating the culture that you're going to succeed with.
You said something earlier, Jenn. Ryan was the second overall pick in the NHL draft with the Washington Capitals and a young captain. Then he goes on to the most storied franchise, one of the most storied franchises in sports, the Montreal Canadiens. And you were saying something earlier about that feeling of scoring a goal. How do business owners and their partners, their spouses, how do they celebrate now?
Well, for sure, when Ryan played, my favorite part of hockey was the celebration after a goal when all the players hugged each other. I just love that. And we find in our business, for sure, and our life, that we think it's really important to celebrate the small wins. Ryan says he's observed that in me. Yeah. That it just keeps me going when I can find the wins to celebrate in the process along the way, the small victories, and really enjoy them and feel good about them. For me personally and my personality style, that is just huge on the road to achievement, is finding small wins and celebrating them.
As you well know, Ryan, you don't win every game you play, and you don't win every cup championship like you play. By the way, Sportsnet is replaying the 1989 Cup final with the the Calgary
Yeah.
Flames or Canadians, but I didn't notice you had a great you won the face-off the other night. I was just watching against Ottawa, and I thought you did a pretty good job. But that being said, there's so much in terms of family dynamics right now with so many people working at home. The Walters are really, you guys are strong in faith, family, and having fun. But I'd love to hear your perspective, starting with you, Ron. What can you share to people who are feeling that kind of, you know, maybe some form of suffocation or whatever? Is there anything you guys can share that can flip everything from a perspective point of view?
Well, Gary, we've been pretty fortunate. So Jenny and I have self-isolated here on Thetis Island with our son, Ben, our oldest son, and our oldest daughter, Christy, Ben's wife, Lindsay, and then 3 of our 5 grandchildren. So we've been very fortunate to be together with family, and just to try to make it, as much as it's not a holiday. This is not an easy time, but to really enjoy the family times that we've had. So that's worked out really well for us. I would say, though, that this idea, we have a little model that we call the thinking tendencies model. And what it does is it helps, we built it so that we could help create awareness around the 5 mindsets that really, drive any part of our life, but especially now when people are together for a long time, and especially now when people are in uncertainty. And so this idea, Gare, of future positive thinking, of making sure that we're looking at not only outcomes, but also the process that allows us to get to a future positive is so important, because in the context of our model, we have a lot of future negative thinking that is driven in this COVID-19 time through the news cycles, through the online newspapers, and even in, just having people together. I mean, self-isolating for a month or so is not easy. And we have to choose the future positive in all of this.
So how do you distill it from your perspective, Jen, especially from a couple's point of view? Again, from those, I'm thinking of all those small to medium-sized business owners, men and women who work together, kind of, how does that play out practically in your view?
I think a big principle for us in our business and our life together is that we're on the same team. Just that idea. Sometimes we say you and me against the world. If we got a big challenge, which this has been to our business, no doubt. And not only that we're on the same team against the opposition, if you will, but also that team members are different, and those differences are strengths. The goaltender is pretty different than the defenseman, but you couldn't win a game of hockey without both of them. And so not to be annoyed by our differences, but to celebrate them too, because seeing the strengths in each other and how that can enhance our team and our success and our victories.
Just before we wrap up, I did a little snooping on the internet and found out that the Walters, both Ryan and Jen, are like really deep down hardcore Springsteen fans. And it hit me that isn't this you were part of the Bright Lights, and you guys travel and you work with executive groups all over North America, but you have heroes too. How important do you think it is right now to have heroes? For you, it's the boss and his wife, Patty, but I'd like you both to elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, heroes inspire us to be more than we are, to be the best that we can be, I think. And their example, whether it's in art or literature or sports, is just in knowing that they can do it, then we can do it too. And they're special heroes to us because we met on a blind date the night before a Bruce Springsteen concert, but that's a whole other story in itself. What about for you, Ryan?
Because the truth is, Ryan, you owe this marriage, this relationship to Bruce Springsteen.
Totally, Gary. And I'm thankful to the boss every day. The thing that drives me that's amazing about Springsteen is I love the way And Jenny's the authority on Springsteen, not me. But I love the way that Bruce honors his clients and honors his fans. That's the part I love. He is brilliant as a business person. If you just looked at Bruce Springsteen as a pure business person, right? He's energetic. He brings more than you pay for. He always delivers. He's always on, and he always loves it, right? Like it's not like, oh, I got to go to work again. Like he is in it for the people that are in the building. And I think that's the part I love about Springsteen. Yes, he's a billionaire, but you know what? At the end of the day, he doesn't think in those terms. He thinks in terms of people.
You know, that is so well said. And I can personally attest, Dane and I were in the mosh pit for a Springsteen concert in 2013. And I use that expression all the time: serve like Springsteen, be the boss. He doesn't mail it in ever, and neither do you folks. I wanted to put this out there just so everyone knows, and we'll wrap it up here. Ryan, you did a fantastic webinar with Tech Canada. You just did some groups with Vistage International via Zoom, and anyone watching this can find Ryan's webinar online at the Tech Canada Resource Center. But very quickly from you both, a quick snapshot of what what business leaders need to know right now. You're still in business, still doing things. What would be a big takeaway from our conversation today?
Well, it probably comes down to four little words, that Jenny and I look at a lot. Number one, Gare, it's leading me. So it always has to start with the leader, right? And then it's leading others. And I think through this time that leaders are now, it's been a month or so, leaders are starting to get tired and they need to be refreshed. And we're doing a lot of that over Zoom now, where we help them understand the 5 mindsets that are running them personally and their culture, their business, and then how to shift energy at this time. And so that's been our primary focus. But we're doing lunch and learns, we're doing executive groups. We're doing a lot of work like that just to support leadership teams through this very difficult time.
We could talk for hours on this subject, but I know that, you both are just models of what you teach and share with executive teams. Jenny, you get the last word. If Ryan was streaking down the wing and shoveled that pass across in front of the goal, we're looking at you to throw it in their top shelf.
I'm just thinking this time of challenge for all of us is just emphasizing for me and both of us the importance of the human connection, even if it's over online, like with you today and our listeners, or any time, is that we can overcome whatever challenge comes our way when we pull together as a community, and how important that is right now, the indomitable human spirit when it's on a team.
Great insights from one of the great teams, both on and off the ice, Ryan and Jenn Walter, joining us from British Columbia. And don't forget, celebrate the small wins, and never forget, it's you and me, kid, against the world, and we'll make it through. Some thoughts on how small business moves forward and how we can lead better together.